in the near future or even in the future, long term, what kinds of things are you looking forward to, not only with instructing, but even for you, like with aerial silk or Pilates? What kinds of things are you looking forward to kind of keep yourself, like you said, in condition, in shape for dance, whenever the situation kind of arises, whether, you have time for that or not, at least your body can tolerate what you need to do.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to performing again. I really would love to begin performing. I haven't really been performing much in the past couple years, so I'd like to get that in place. I think in the next year or two, I'll probably, or maybe before then, but
Mhm.
hopefully I'll be performing a little bit with the aerial fabrics. And at this point, I just love to be doing it. I just love to
Yeah.
be, maybe 10 years ago, I would have, if I had started doing aerial silks then, I would have been like, okay, I'm going to get into a company. I'm going to go all the way. And I mean, that would be great. But at this point, I'm like happy to be doing it. I'm happy to have a silk in my apartment and just be able to be enjoying that and expressing with it, whether or not someone's watching me or not.
Mhm.
But I do love to perform. So I'm hoping to perform with that eventually. And I'm looking forward to sharing more. I'm hoping to put some content online, Pilates based content, but
Yes.
I'm going to go a little bit outside the box and add some dance content for, I mean, I'm envisioning a lot of women following me, but it doesn't
Mhm.
have to be women only. It
Mhm.
could be anyone who just wants to get kind of loose. So
Yes.
it'll be Pilates based, but then I'll loosen it up a bit. So it'll be
Mhm.
fun.
Mhm.
And so I'm excited to get that going and get some online content out there because I haven't it's been on my list for a while and I'm still working on getting all that in place, but I'm
Yes.
excited to.
Yes, and we'll touch on that in a little bit too. And we both know that creating content and doing all of this, especially if you're doing majority of it by yourself, it takes up so much time. It's things that we both want to do, but it takes up so much time. Before we touch on that, so you mentioned your daughter, right? Your daughter is about 4 years old now. So thinking back, that's maybe around 4 or 5 is when you started finding that interest in, maybe not even interest, but starting dance, right? Is that something that, because your daughter's exposed to some of these things, is that something that she's starting to get interested in?
Yeah, she does the silks.
Oh,
So
okay.
she hasn't shown a lot of interest in ballet and those kinds of things, but I teach her the silks and she can do a flip. I taught her how to do a flip, and otherwise she mainly just swings around the living room. But I can definitely see her, if she continues having fun with it. Not only is she going to be really strong at an early age, but I can see her doing something with that, progressing with it.
Yes.
And
Okay, that is amazing. So I did not even realize, like, how do you teach a 4-year-old, even if it's just to swing on the silks? Like, how, that is beyond my experience. So like, what kinds of things do they actually have classes if she wanted to attend a class outside of, just your apartment? Like, what does that entail for kids to do aerial silk?
well, they do have classes. I haven't sent her to any aerial classes yet. I sent her to gymnastics, and it was around the same
Okay.
time that I got the silk in our house. So she would go to gymnastics and then she'd come home and play on the silks. And so she's just already getting this really strong base
Yes.
down. But I don't know. She watches me and then I'll show her some wraps that, I'll be like, okay, wrap your arms in this way. And, I'll just teach her very basic things. But I don't know. Kids just pick things up so quickly.
Yes. And I think that's one of the big themes that I've mentioned a lot. And even kind of we discuss a little bit, not only here, but outside, is that it's the movement component. Like when you start to learn and develop this base of movement at a young age, that benefits you way more than most of us can imagine later on in life. And like just building that strength and having things that she enjoys, whether that's with silk or gymnastics or maybe in the future dance or any other type of movement, I think that builds that base so that you can actually take care of your body and do things later on in life, like how you mentioned. Now, on that line, I'm gonna put you on the spot a little bit. Would it be easier to teach your daughter, a 4-year-old, or teach a grown adult how to do silks if they have no experience?
Probably my daughter, if they
Yes.
have no experience,
Yes.
because they're little monkeys, you know, if you tell them,
Exactly.
and they're so limber. And if you tell an adult who has no experience, well, engage your lower, you know, tuck your pelvis, engage your lower abdominals. They're like, I don't know how to quite do
Yes.
that. But a little, you know, a little kid, you may use different language, of
Uh-huh.
course, but little kids just, they're so in tune with their bodies already
Yes.
because they're just jumping and running around all the time.
Yes. That is so true. And I wanted to just hear your perspective, but I would agree it's the exact same thing. You know, whether I'm doing some strength and conditioning, fitness, or even rehabilitation with a client, usually the older they are, and if they'd never had any experience previously doing certain types of movements, it's almost like you're learning them be below the level of learning them from scratch. Like you need to reteach just like how to even feel certain things before you can even do the movement. So, you know, for anyone that's listening, you know, obviously like a lot of people that are older, it's not impossible to learn movements, but just it takes a lot of training and practice. But for anyone with kids and things like that, I'm a big proponent for trying as many things as you can, different variety of activities, sports. It doesn't matter if you're good or not. It's just being exposed to certain things. It does help you in the long run. That is really interesting, and thanks for sharing about the aerial silks, because I want to hear how the progress goes. And then maybe one day your daughter is going to be doing things more advanced than you are. I don't know, but it's
Probably.
inevitable that, there's a certain point where like when you learn all of these basics at a young age, the progression that you advance in whatever the activity is, it's just exponentially gets better and better as the years go on. Do you have any other things to share about the aerial silks?
Um, no, except I love the studio I go to.
Okay.
It was an old church,
Okay.
and they turned it in. This woman bought it and turned it into an aerial studio, and it's just
Oh,
really great because I showed up there thinking, I didn't start doing it till I was in my mid 30s, and I thought I would be in there with a bunch of teenagers. I wasn't really sure, but I didn't know what to expect.
uh-huh.
Then I go in there, and it's a lot of women my age, and they have kids, and it's like they're doing the same thing I'm doing, is taking time away and
Yeah.
coming and playing on the silks. And it was just a cool change of perspective for me to just to walk into a studio, especially with my experience in high school
Mhm.
with the girls I danced with, and then to walk into this place and just feel at home, like, oh, these women are so much like me, and so
Yes.
just want to have fun and flip around and be strong. And
That is awesome to hear. And I look forward to seeing more of your content. So we'll touch upon that a little bit more. And then maybe one of these days we'll see some of your skills and talent with aerial silks on your social media or YouTube.